All right, welcome everybody. We're so glad to see so many of you logging in and joining us today. This is awesome. Oh, you guys didn't have to get that excited, but I'm glad you're here. We have a great LaunchBox Ladies event today. For those of you who were able to join us on the first one, we're so excited to be back. Today, we are continuing our series, Navigating the New Normal. Today, we're talking to some women about professional services. These are a great group of women who do amazing things here in the Lehigh Valley, both professionally and for our community. So we're super excited to have them here with us today, and we'll introduce them in just a moment. What we wanted to let you know is that today we have got great social media going on, so please grab some screenshots, share with your friends at LV Launchbox or hashtag Launchbox. Make sure that you know this is going to be recorded, and there will be questions at the end of the program. So you'll see at the bottom there's a little Q&A box. We encourage you to put your questions in there. Keep it as an open dialogue, and we'll have a really great roundtable discussion in just a little bit. But before we do that, I'm going to introduce the Chancellor of Penn State Lehigh Valley, our good friend and visionary Dr. Tina Richardson, who has been the champion of the LaunchBox Ladies since the very beginning. She's been the Chancellor since 2015. She's got her doctorate in counseling psychology. She serves on lots of boards. She worked at Lehigh. She's got a Woman of Influence Award, and she's just really a wonderful person who gives back and always looks to advance not only Penn State Lehigh Valley, but certainly business women in our community. So Dr. Richardson, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ashley. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our second event in a four-part series. Today, we're talking about how professional services are navigating the new normal. At our first event, we had a large number of individuals on the Zoom call, and I am delighted to see that we have equal enthusiasm in this session, despite the challenging times that we're having right now. We thought it was very important for LaunchBox Ladies to continue what we started. Because we've made such significant progress as women entrepreneurs, we thought it was important to continue that support. We've made significant progress, but men are still more likely to start a business than women. In fact, for every 10 men, there are only 7 women who will make that same attempt. The powerful network that we've built through LaunchBox Ladies is something that I believe is very important for us to continue and to assist women in moving forward. COVID-19 has provided challenges for all of us, but the pandemic has presented some opportunities as well. And so you will hear from a number of very talented women today who have jumped over many hurdles. They are in the professional services industry, and they've had to cut through the clutter and the reality that they need to maintain relationships with their existing clients. In addition to that, they have to forge relationships with new ones, and they have to do it virtually. So we are delighted to have a panel here today that can share with us their accomplishments and some of the challenges that they've experienced as well. And so I am looking forward to what each of them has to say, and I'm sure we'll all learn a lot. So let's begin the program. Thank you, Ashley.
Great, thank you so much, Tina, appreciate that. All right, let's just jump right into it. So I'm gonna start first with Julie Knight. Julie, great friend, she's a wonderful community supporter, and we've just had the pleasure of getting to know each other over the last decade, especially through our work with Perfect Fit for Working Women. Julie is a certified financial planner with Janney Montgomery Scott. She prides herself on providing excellent client services and creating tax-efficient strategies. She has served as an adjunct professor at Penn State Lehigh Valley and is a member of the LaunchBox Advisory Board. She's very involved, as I mentioned, in the community, and she's received several awards locally. Today, she will be serving as our moderator. So Julie, welcome.
Thank you.
Up next, we've got Vicky Doulay. Vicky is the Senior Vice President with BSI Corporate Benefits. She is responsible for leading BSI's new business team and strategic account management. She's very focused on growth and strategic retention initiatives. She's also very active in the community and is currently the chair of the Arts Quest Board of Trustees, which I would imagine has been a bigger job than ever before in the last few weeks, with so many amazing things happening at Arts Quest during this time. She's also a member of United Way Tocqueville Society, Women United, and also a recipient of the 2019 Women of Influence Award. Vicky, welcome. Thanks for sitting on this panel today.
Thanks, Ashley.
Up next, we have Marie McConnell. Marie is an attorney with Fitzpatrick, Lentz & Buba. She's a shareholder and chair of the Corporate Business and Banking Group. She's focused a lot on commercial transactions and including significant experience in counseling clients with respect to tax exemptions and tax assessment appeals. She has an undergraduate degree in economics and an LLM in taxation. She's a trusted advisor to her clients. She has just made an incredible impact on this longstanding firm in the Lehigh Valley, and of course gives back to the community and develops amazing relationships with her clients along the way in all of those capacities. Thank you, Marie, for joining us.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And last but certainly not least is a dear new friend of mine, Miss Lindsay Watson from FIA NYC Employment Services and the principal of Joy Fluent. She's the co-founder of both. She has over 14 years of experience in human resources. In fact, she worked at a Wall Street staffing firm developing multi-million-dollar relationships with Fortune 500 companies, and she specializes in working with businesses ranging from startup to Fortune 100. So she's really got a wide berth of experience. And in fact, she has done a great job here expanding her network in the Lehigh Valley and getting very, very involved from a community standpoint. She is a 2020 40 Under 40 award winner and just a tremendous asset to the Lehigh Valley. We're so happy to have you here, Lindsay. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Ashley.
All right, well, I'm going to turn it now over to Julie Knight, who will be managing the panel. Thanks to these fine women for giving us their time and their expertise today. I encourage you all to remember to post on social media, to use the Q&A feature, and have that interactivity with this wonderful group of women here today. So thanks, everybody. Enjoy.
Great. Thanks, Ashley. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. Appreciate you all joining us. I think we have over 70 people on the line today. So our goal today is really to inspire all of you and give you some tools that, to help you navigate this new normal. And I want to start out by just telling a little bit about the background of LaunchBox and talking a little bit about entrepreneurship, or how many times I'm going to say that today. And then we'll get into some really good Q&A with all the ladies. So I was originally on the LaunchBox board almost 10 years ago now. And I think it's important to share that Penn State started this initiative to help have more entrepreneurs in Pennsylvania. And we realized that, you know, when people create businesses or grow businesses, it's such a core part of building a good community, a sustainable community, and enabling ourselves or enabling people to, you know, have their own income, right? So there's some seed money, right? There's programs out there if you are an entrepreneur that you can apply. And I just saw recently a couple of the students from Moravian were recognized on a national level from the award that they got from the LaunchBox. So, you know, one, we want to help create more entrepreneurs. And, you know, we realized year after year, as we were getting these applications, we had so few women applying for the grant money, which was a huge shame. And I, you know, applaud Dr. Richardson. When she came in, she really, like, you know, put her arms around this project and launched LaunchBox Ladies to really specifically target and, you know, get women to connect to that word entrepreneur. And we, you know, we so need more female entrepreneurs, and we want to, not just from a funding perspective, but to help more women connect with other women and learn, especially from these ladies today on the panel, what are they doing to be successful? And specifically today, we want to talk about how are we pivoting, or how are we changing, or how are we adopting with this new situation? And, you know, if anything, I mean, we have so much uncertainty in the world right now, but I think we could all agree that we should start thinking that change is the only constant, right? Like there's always going to be external factors around us that we have to learn about and adopt our business practices if we want to continue to be successful. So with that, let me, I want to share this story. I was fortunate enough to go to the Barron's Women's Summit in December. And there were two entrepreneurs, there were two keynotes that I really just want to mention, these phenomenal stories, because they were so inspiring. And I want to try to like radiate that on the panel today. They shared the story of Jo Malone, which some of you may know her. She eventually sold her perfume business to Estee Lauder after she got this horrible cancer and she was unable to smell anymore. So if you can imagine your business, you know, you were making fragrances and then you couldn't smell anymore. And her story during this keynote, it was all about her failure and about how she overcame that and, you know, fought through it. And, you know, her story was very, you know, unique that luckily she got her sense of smell back many years later and recreated this second business, launching her another brand called Jo Loves. And she has an autobiography out there called My Story. But I wanted to specifically mention this woman as well. Her name is Julie Wainwright, and she's the founder and CEO of The Real Real. I don't know if any of you have shopped on The Real Real. I bet Ashley has, if you can resell your luxury goods or buy luxury goods. And what was so amazing from her, she as well talked about her failures and how she had to overcome so many of these challenges. She was the CEO of two other companies, one of which you may have heard of, Pets.com, that had a really bad public bankruptcy. And she said, and I even wrote this down, you can see my notes, when you fail big publicly, you either give up or you step up. And you get rid of the fear of failure. And I think that's one of the things that I want to kind of resonate today is, you know, I was so inspired by these ladies to hear their how they were resilient and how they overcame this challenge. And we all have this challenge today, right? We don't know what's going to happen with the coronavirus or the next presidential election or the trade war or there's a terrorist attack. I mean, there's always uncertainty, hence it's the word the future, right? We don't know what's going to happen. So with what is happening, how do we adopt? How do we pivot? And how do we change to keep up with these external factors? And instead of taking these threats and, you know, sinking down in it, let's look at it as an opportunity. So how do we take the current environment and use our skills and our strengths and even our passions? That one of the things I'll say about this woman, Miss Wainwright, she went into a pawn shop one day and she had this fancy jewelry after that public bankruptcy. And she said, you know what, this process is horrible. They took her piece of jewelry in the back and came out with a note. And she had no idea if they were giving a good price for that piece of jewelry. And she's like, you know what, I could do this better. And hence she came up with the idea that she wanted to create this business that was ethical and honest, that when you send a piece of an item in, that you get a fair value. And more than that, she realized the opportunity that there's so much pollution in the fashion industry or in the luxury industry that she wanted to have a really good sustainable impact instead of throwing these really nice you know, leather handbags or leather shoes in the garbage. Let's create a system to recycle them and reuse them. So, you know, she used this threat or, you know, she took this opportunity to reinvent the resale luxury industry. So, you know, let's hear specifically from the ladies today, you know, how are we reinventing, you know, ourselves or our business in this new normal? And so what I'd like to do is let's go around the circle, and I want to make this fun. So I've asked each of the ladies, let's just, you know, again, briefly introduce yourself, your firm, and let's do a little show and tell. So Attorney McConnell, if I may start on a proper note, let's hear from you first. How are you inspired every day?
Sure. So do you want me to do an introduction first, Julie?
Sure.
Okay. So as Ashley and Julie mentioned, I'm an attorney at Fitzpatrick, Luntz & Buba. We're one of the largest law firms in the Lehigh Valley, and we have 35 attorneys. We're a full service law firm. So we have attorneys who handle transactional work like myself, healthcare, mergers and acquisition, real estate, estate planning, banking, and litigation, just to name a few. We serve businesses of all sizes and individuals. Recently in January, we just relocated to downtown Allentown, and that's been really exciting for us because previously we were located in Center Valley and our offices were in an old schoolhouse building for the past 25 years. So we're excited to get back to our new digs once COVID-19 and the issues associated with that pass us. I've been with FLB for over 12 years, and my role at the firm is I'm a partner and I also chair the largest practice group, which is corporate business and banking. My focus specifically is on tax issues. I also work on commercial real estate, business restructurings, and nonprofit issues. I represent a number of the healthcare systems in the Lehigh Valley with respect to specific tax issues, and I also represent a number of charter schools. I've been in Allentown my entire life. I graduated from Deerhoof High School in 2001, and I'm just so excited about where the Lehigh Valley is going. And I'm really pleased that I was asked to be a part of this today. And it's just really amazing what women can do as they get together and try to bring all of us up. As far as my show and tell item, I've got a pair of my sneakers here. So my sneakers and my morning runs motivate me and inspire me. Every morning before work, I get up around 6 a.m. and I run 5 miles. And I do that 5 days a week. And I have been doing that since 2006. I had just gone into law school and my husband was in the Marine Corps and he had just left for Iraq. So I figured, let's start doing something. And it's really a wonderful time of my day. It's one of the best times of my day. It allows me to refocus. Sometimes I just zone out and that's great too. Other times I'll say it's some of my best creative thinking for outside the box issues at work. And since COVID, I've actually even started taking meetings over those runs. And as long as it's a call where I'm doing most of the listening and less talking, it's no issue. So thank you for having me.
I love it. Thank you. Vicky, would you like to go next?
That would be great. Thank you so much, Julie. My name is Vicky Doulay. I'm a Senior Vice President at BSI Corporate Benefits. We're a national benefit consulting firm. We're headquartered in downtown Bethlehem, and we represent over 100 clients in 40 states. We pride ourselves in not only being our clients' benefits consultant, but also being their employees' benefit partner. That's really important to us at BSI. And our mission is to advocate for our clients on a human and financial level. And that mission has never been more important than it is right now. Now, I've been with BSI for about 2 years. Prior to joining BSI, I worked at Capital Blue Cross for 23 years. And most recently as Vice President of Group Sales. And I had a really good working relationship with the leadership team at BSI and made that transition 2 years ago. And it's been a really great transition for me. I'm local, I live in Nazareth. So it's been a really great 2 years. And we'll be talking in more detail about how we've pivoted under the current environment. And it's been a blessing to work for Tony DeRay and be so involved at BSI. So it's been great. For the show and tell, Julie, that you asked what inspires us, and we'll see if you can see this. So this is actually a coaster, and it's a picture of Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run album, which is kind of irrelevant, but it happens to be my favorite album. But the reason I decided to use this as my inspiration, I see this every day since we transitioned to work from home. It's where I put my drink, non-alcoholic during the day, alcoholic. But I purchased this at Chris Kindle Market from a local artisan. And as Ashley mentioned, I'm chair of the Arts Quest Board of Trustees. And so very passionate about the arts. And this is an inspiration to me every day to remind me of what I love about the arts and Arts Quest and how it brings the community together. So fond memories of buying that from a local artisan who takes album covers and made clocks out of them and coasters. And looking forward to the day when we do get back to normal and we're able to be together again at Chris Kindle Market, at a concert, enjoying what we used to take for granted. So that inspires me every day to keep pushing forward till we can all celebrate together.
That's great. Thank you. Lindsay?
Hello, LaunchBox Ladies. So my name is Lindsay Watson. I'm co-founder of FIA NYC Employment Services, and I chose the title principal, but Joy Fluent is a business that I recently incorporated about 6 months ago. So talk about a pivot. FIA NYC, we have actually been headquartered in Allentown for over 7 years now, and we moved here as a result of our CEO, Bill Brown. He's my business partner and mentor and has been for over 15 years. And he's a fantastic visionary. And he saw the promise here in the Lehigh Valley and suggested that we move from the New York City area here. So we moved here, but kept the name. And we've been so blessed to be here. We have some fantastic clients that we've been able to staff for and really focus on quality. We specialize in professional services staffing, so that it's pretty much anything in the office, and our niche is digital media, marketing, and creative staffing. Some of the people that we staffed for, you see on billboards, reporters, anchors. We're just so thrilled to be here and very grateful to be a part of the community. Joy Fluent is a professional development and media services support company, and we'll talk a little bit more about that because that really is a big part of the pivot. In terms of my influences, you know, as you were both talking, Vicky and Marie, I realized that my influence is family. So what you see behind me are a few things. One, on the top, you see my babies, my niece and nephew who are 22 and 23, but they'll always be my babies, okay? I have baby pictures of them and then grown pictures of them. Under that, you see Pray Big. Prayer is a huge part of my life. And then under that, you'll see this little figure. And I know you can't see it, and I won't bring it up too close for the sake of time, but that's actually a weatherman figure. So anybody who's known me more than 20 minutes knows that I'm a weather geek, right? I make that pretty clear. And so we have a really cool client here in the Lehigh Valley. They are a weather services company, and they gave that to me when I first started pitching to them. And so that's just a reminder. It took about 2 years for us to close a deal with them, but that's just a reminder of persistence and passion, right? And then my last inspiration is this scarf. My mom is in Connecticut. I haven't seen her since New Year's. I miss her so much, but she sends me stuff. And so she sent me this scarf last week. And as soon as I saw it, I said, this is what I'm wearing to the panel. So she gets to be a part of this wonderful experience.
That's great. I hope all of those inspirations carry over to our listeners today. And as a brief introduction of myself, I am a certified financial planner. I've been with Janney Montgomery Scott for a little over a year now, and previously I was at Morgan Stanley for almost 9 years. I also grew up in the Lehigh Valley. I went to Wilson High School and then spent almost 8 years overseas, primarily in Germany and Australia. And you know, from a business perspective, I really follow the CFP process. Part of what I'm going to share today, you know, I've really gotten into like estate planning and long-term care planning the last few years with many of my clients. I'm on the Estate Planning Council Board of the Lehigh Valley as well. I joined to be a member of Lehigh Valley Aging in Place. And my inspiration, I keep in my jewelry box, and I don't know if you can see it, but it says Gladys. It's my grandmother's name. And, you know, every day when I put my jewelry on, what's funny about this is it actually has the tag on it, like she never wore this. But, you know, it makes me think about where I came from and, you know, how she gave me confidence and strength. And, you know, I keep that close to me and, you know, my decision making on a daily basis. So, you know, let's turn the conversation to how we're pivoting today. So, you know, when you look at your business operations, what are you doing differently today than you were doing before? I'll share first that, you know, I was part of the pilot program about 3-4 years ago with Morgan Stanley using our WebEx technology. And it was interesting being one of the first people that had video conferencing capabilities that, you know, it's kind of scary. And it's like, oh, which client am I going to use this first with? And I'll tell you, I did it with my husband, then I did it with my assistant. And I very selectively chose which ones of my clients do I think will want to see me on video, and not just the video, but be able to share documents, or I can actually bring up our financial planning software, which has been great. When I want to modify one of my plans, I can do it on the fly, live, that the client says, okay, let's see this or confirm this number. So, even though I've been using it for years, I would say it's kind of like it's gotten fast forward, that for me, WebEx is almost the default, that, you know, because I can't have people in my office now, I'm saying, okay, should we do a WebEx so we can see each other? And if it doesn't work, I can tell you, even now, last week I had one where I couldn't get my video up, or I had, you know, the other person can't get their video up. And then you just, you know, you make a decision, you know, should we just call each other? You know, let's go old school and only do a phone call. Or, you know, if you look at this adoption of technology schedule, there's, I don't know if you guys have ever read this book. It's called Crossing the Chasm, but we all adopt technology at a different pace. And I've really been trying to adopt technology for years, not just myself, but, you know, with my clients, whether I use e-sign or secure email, or we have a really cool tool called Document Vault that people can upload things securely into our system. So, you know, in terms of how I'm pivoting, I think I'm doing a lot of the same. It's just in with more people, and I think more of my clients are getting used to using that video as a standard rather than an option. So, Marie, how have you pivoted?
Sure. So before COVID-19, FLB was an in-office workplace. We have over 75 employees and no one worked from home. And that was largely because of the collaboration between the attorneys in person. So early in March, our business continuity committee began working on a pandemic continuity plan, and that would allow every employee of FLB to work from home, including our attorneys, our paralegals, our management team, and our staff. And that plan was rolled out over 48 hours, and we went from one main office with 2 satellites to 75 home offices. I'm pleased to report that the first morning after that shutdown order was issued, every single employee of FLB was up and running and able to work from home. So that transition was so critical to us because from an employee standpoint, we needed to be efficient and we needed to keep up employee morale. And from our client's standpoint, it was critical because it meant that there'd be no gap in our legal services to them.
That's great. Vicky, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that impressed me the most about how we handled the immediate crisis was the first thing we did, and our CEO, Tony Duray, immediately reached out to all employees to reassure them we were on solid financial footing. You know, that first day or two, it was scary. It was a big change, and I don't want to lose sight of that because I think we've all, you know, as these weeks have gone on, we've adjusted to the new normal. But when it first happened, there was so much uncertainty to start with. I've learned, you know, from him that importance of making sure you take care of your employees first. So giving that reassurance, that was one of the first things we did. And we think that really helped with employee morale and an understanding of we had their back. Then it was about our virtual connection. So the virtual meetings, which as an organization, we didn't do among ourselves. So from an executive team standpoint and the leadership of the firm, we immediately jumped on. If it wasn't day one, then it was day 2, virtual meetings, so that we were meeting daily because there was so much information coming out at first. And Tony was adamant about making them virtual. And I will say, I was a late adopter because he had a, you know, it was kind of dragging me into it because I was not always ready physically or mentally to be on camera early morning. And we laugh about it now, but it was important not only as an executive team, but as we made outreach to the employees, to our team, to have that virtual visual connection. And I think that's what helped us transition into structure around work from home and a new sense of normalcy, that we may not be driving into the office, but in working from home, that structure will be there. And the virtual touch points continue to be important to make sure we're asking, how are you doing? We're asking each other, how are you doing? Because the anxiety and the fears are still out there. So that was important from our own team. And then on the client side, it was immediate outreach to our clients to say, how are you doing? Are you okay? And taking a step back from our normal day-to-day client servicing to that triage mode of COVID-19. Information was coming in fast and furious. So we were working to help simplify, especially because we work primarily with, both the financial end and then also human resources, helping navigate through what they needed to know. But those virtual outreaches and the phone calls right away were really pivotal for us to transition to, okay, we've gone through that initial noise and filtering through the data to now we have a job to do. We have to service our clients like we had in the past. And by being early adopters of transitioning to virtual allowed us to transition into doing our job a little bit more seamlessly to serve our clients. And they certainly appreciated the outreach, just the how's it going? How is your business? How are you impacted? And staying closer to them, I think we've absolutely strengthened those relationships during that initial phase.
I agree with you. My team, we're doing the same thing, that we're not canceling our daily huddles or our regular meetings. And, some of us are here, some of us are there. And, we just figure it out to make sure that we keep that, regular communication and, have that personal touch. I think that's a change I've seen, that, business second, right? How are you? Are you okay? How's your family? You guys doing all right? That I feel like I have a lot more of that personal touch point before we get to business. So Lindsay, you want to take it from there? Share with us if you have anything to add on pivoting, or, let's talk about some challenges. Like, where are you see some of your biggest challenges?
So I think maybe to the question you just asked from a different perspective, in our communicating with our clients, what we found is professional services, right? We support clients, and a lot of times they have their own clients. So our clients have been impacted because they've lost business. They've lost some of their clients. Some of their clients have had to just either cancel their services, put a pause, and some clients have gone out of business. So what we have found, in addition to communicating, is looking for other ways to support them or collaborate or work with them. So the cool thing is we have a couple of companies who have asked us to start to kind of introduce some of their services from the staffing and recruiting perspective. So we get a chance now to reach out to our clients who may not know about our other client, but introduce this service to them. So collaboration, I think, is really key. And I can only speak right from my perspective. But we're finding that, when we, as Vicky's saying, when we listen to our clients, we understand how they've been impacted. So that's one. Two, in terms of the challenges, and we talked a little bit about this, Julie, I worked on Wall Street in 2008 when we had our last significant financial impacting event. And during that time, I worked for an international investment bank. I thought I had it all, and then I lost my job. And I ended up taking a job at a staffing agency at about half the pay. And what I learned during that time is that there are, especially in professional services, you can pivot at any point at any time. Sometimes it's important to stop and assess, take a break, breathe, pause a little bit, and find out if the services you're providing and how you're providing them are relevant. And if you're not sure, and I only say this because I don't know how many business owners we have on the call now, but if you're not sure, if your clients have been impacted, if you don't have as many sales right now, it's okay. Things are going to get better, right? The market things are going to change. The market is going to get stronger. We may not know when or what that may look like, but this is a great time to look at the challenges and see how you can make what you're offering more efficient. If there is a pivot in how you offer your services, for example, if you were more traditional marketing, you want to focus on digital, great time to do that while you're staying in touch with your clients, so that when those doors open, you'll be ready, and you'll be ready to offer what your clients will need at that given time, if that makes sense. And the last thing I'll say is this, and I'm sure everyone can relate to this. So many companies, I think Bree mentioned, were not remote, right? One of the things when we started FIA, we said we're going to be remote. So we've had this experience for now over 8 years where we are completely set up to work cloud-based. Excuse me. So what you're going to see is definitely a demand and an increase in need for digital support services. So if there's an opportunity for you to learn about new technologies and find a way to get ahead in how you offer what you offer through any kind of new technology, again, this is a great time to invest in yourself and to be able to get that prepared. So again, when those doors open again, you'll be ready to go. So a little bit of a different perspective, but I hope that's helpful.
No, that's great. And Marie, let's go back to you. So are you seeing any difference in your clients' needs? Like, how are you finding out, what do they need now? Is it different? And how are you addressing that?
Sure. So, before COVID-19, the economy was awesome. Our clients couldn't expand fast enough, and there was no shortage of exciting new projects. And suddenly, our clients were struggling to make the next payroll. And not just our clients, all of the businesses everywhere. So projects were terminated and delayed, and our role became helping clients just survive for these past couple months. The various SBA loan programs that are out there were a huge help. And just now we're starting to see a number of our clients tentatively come out of crisis mode and start to get into a back to business mode, but with a COVID twist. So for instance, that force majeure clause that everybody talks about, it means acts of God. That used to be a really good hypothetical on the bar exam. And now it is the standout provision of every single contract.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. So new word for me today. What's it called?
Maybe it's just the legal nerds. It's a force majeure clause. And what it talks about is if the parties of a contract aren't able to fulfill their obligations because of an act of God, a fire, a catastrophe, a pandemic.
Well, you can tell I'm not a contract law specialist. So Vicky, how about you? Have you seen a change in your client needs, and how are you changing your services because of that?
Yeah, I think we really are seeing new needs emerging. So, the questions around how to manage the COVID risk long-term, how to safely reopen, how are insurance carriers addressing the claims? What if I can't pay my premium? What will we do? I mean, that's something that's changed, and that is definitely an area of focus from an HR perspective. So we've conducted several COVID educational webinars, and we did it early and we continue to do it. And I think, part of what we've leveraged that is not only BSI's insurance industry experience, but our partners, so that, Kincannon Miller, for example, from an accounting standpoint, or St. Luke's from, infectious disease expertise or back to work programs, so that we're bringing the experts through our webinars to help our clients, potential clients, the community at large. And we've had great attendance with those. But I think that's going to be a consistent change as those questions come up. How do we navigate them for our clients? And the second thing I would just like to mention, and I don't know if it's really a change or more back to the challenge question, from a nonprofit standpoint, one of the things we realized early on, we have a lot of nonprofit clients. We also serve on a lot of nonprofit boards. So we knew that the nonprofit organizations would be heavily challenged, and we were fortunate to be able to transfer work from home pretty seamlessly. So we really looked at how can we support our nonprofits in this new normal, because sponsorships or way that we would support them in the past wouldn't necessarily work in the new normal. So ArtsQuest is an example that when they had to shut down, they immediately switched to a virtual platform, ArtsQuest at Home. We looked at it from a sponsorship standpoint. Normally we would sponsor something where we can network and be together at a concert, at an event, but we decided we wanted to support ArtsQuest. We're the presenting sponsor of the ArtsQuest at Home platform. And that's been great for us. It's a win-win because we're helping them in their time of need, and we're also getting great recognition from it and having fun with it. That's just one example. I know we could all probably talk for a half hour about how to support our nonprofits, but that was another area where both the challenge and the changing needs we really wanted to get ahead of, and most importantly, help the nonprofits when they needed it the most.
No, I love that. I think it's going to be a huge challenge for many nonprofits, and many businesses, depending on how long this, closure is with us, and if we get a second wave of it. Let's go to the last question to you, Lindsay, before we do our summary. Let's talk a little bit more about what lies ahead. Like, what do you, specifically for women, what do you think women should be doing, for the future right now?
Dr. Richardson was right. You have women who are applying for businesses less than men. You have women who are asking for raises less than men. or seeking new opportunities less. We still want to focus on changing those statistics. And as challenging as these times have been on many different levels for each and every one of us, and they have been uniquely different, right? There's still opportunity. And I'll use me as an example. So Joy Fluent is a business that has been birthed out of me having supported small businesses in different areas for free for over 10 years. And just late last year, you know, I had a time of reflection and got the opportunity to put value to what I've been doing, right, outside of the staffing and recruiting. And so that business now has paying clients who need the services, right? So when I stress, you know, if you have a moment to stop and pause and value yourself, do that, right? That's part of what Joy Fluent does. We help women understand their value, but it's so important because understanding the value leads you to being able to see the opportunities that are before you. So whether that's you starting a business, revising your services, finding some partnerships, right? Or preparing yourself to have a career transition, as crazy it may seem right now, this is a great time to be able to do so. I will say this, regardless of the challenges that we have had, we have complete power and control to stop and be able to value who we are as women. And this community, I am not from the Lehigh Valley, I'm from Connecticut originally, but I call Lehigh Valley home and have for over 7 years. There's something so special about this community. The energy, the love, the support, especially amongst women, is something I have never, ever, ever seen or experienced before. And so if you are interested, connect, find someone who maybe can help you and give you some mentorship and guidance, and then just go for it. If there's anything maybe we can all agree to, tomorrow is not promised and we don't know what it may look like. So why not just go for it, right? So I think that would probably be my suggestion. I hope I answered your question. You know, Julie, sometimes I can just talk and forget what you asked, but that would be the answer to whatever the question was you just asked.
So I've asked all the ladies to give us an actionable takeaway. So let me start with mine. So, you know, as our goal today, we wanted to inspire all of you, motivate you, give you some, you know, tips and tricks how to navigate the new normal. And I will close with two parts. You know, I love this saying, you know, there's opportunity in chaos, or actually the Chinese symbol for opportunity is the symbol for chaos. So it's like, even though, you know, we have this, figure out where's the opportunity, where you're going to go from here. And, you know, from a business perspective, you ever see that map with the 3 circles? It's like what you can get paid for and what you can do versus what is needed and then what your passion is. So find that, you know, that overlap of the need, the, you know, the profitability and the passion and go for it. And then on that personal level, like I said, that opportunity and chaos, like think that change is constant, and, you know, try to reinvent yourself and always, you know, adopt the change. So with that, Attorney McConnell, please, what are your inspiring, actionable takeaway?
Sure. So before the crisis hits, know your mission, know your team, and know your available resources inside and out. And then when the impossible happens, you can lean in on all of those things and rebound more quickly than those who haven't done that. So at FLB, our mission is solving client challenges with precise, relevant counsel. And we couldn't stop doing that just because everything got really chaotic and our physical offices were closed and our employees were now remote. But we leaned into that client first mission, and we made sure we reorganized as quickly as possible to answer the needs of our clients. And we were able to do that because of the really great team that I have behind me working with me.
That's great. Thank you. Vicky?
So for the actionable takeaway, for me, I would say the advice I would give is stay engaged. Stay engaged with your plan, stay engaged with your employees, your teammates, your clients, your nonprofit partners. Just stay engaged. During this crisis, don't use it as an excuse to hide. Be out there, get ahead of it, be there and educate yourself. You may not have all the answers, but you have resources around you that are there to help you. And staying engaged, showing up, asking how others are doing, and then really listening as well. Whether you're reaching out to a mentor or you're reaching out to clients or your team, listen to what they're saying. Those things never will be forgotten. That's prior to COVID, but especially now, if you're out there, you're engaged and you're asking those questions and really listening, your clients, your community, your teammates, your friends, they'll remember that. And so, you know, don't use a crisis as an excuse to hide, just get out there and stay engaged.
Lindsay?
I wrote this down last night, and it's short and simple. You may never be exactly perfect. You may never be 100% prepared per se, but you can always be present. And to support what Vicky and Marie were sharing, I completely agree. Being present and being aware of the resources you have will keep you in the game, and that's what you want. You may not control what the game may look like or how it may change, but you have full control over being present and being okay with just being present and having that peace to be okay and say that that's enough, that you're there, will definitely keep you even in the most uncertain of times.
I have one question. I don't know if you guys can all see the chat. Dr. Richardson has a question, Marie, for you. She says, generally speaking, how relevant is the act of God clause applied to higher education, because nationally college students are asking for a refund because the semester went to remote learning?
So there is a lot to unpack in that question, Dr. Richardson. I'm happy to talk to you offline about this, but generally, number one, you have to have a contract that has that provision in it. So I'm not sure, and I'd venture to guess that Penn State, Lehigh Valley, and other colleges and universities throughout the United States don't have anything like that in their agreements with the students, exchange of tuition for classes. So I don't necessarily think that that's going to be applicable to the universities and colleges, or hinder what the universities and colleges need to do from a financial standpoint in order to pivot themselves and totally shift to online learning. I see where the students are coming from, but I think there just needs to be a little more of an appreciation for just what a drastic change the universities and colleges have gone through. So I wouldn't worry too much about that clause or think that it impacts the colleges and universities at this point.
I'm going to turn it over to Annette, but I see the one question that came in, Marie, was for you as well. They're asking, can you list your 3 things again for us? They wanted to write it down.
Were those the actionable items, or?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say before the crisis hits, know your mission, know your team, and know your available resources inside and out. I hope that answers the question.
That's good. I knew she had them written down. So with that, I think we should close. Annette, unless you want me to keep going, I have a couple more questions, but I think we can close now a little bit early. I'll pass it back over to you. Thank you all so much for attending and sharing your wisdom. And even though we haven't had haircuts in a couple months and this is being recorded, I hope we've inspired everyone that's listening today and get out there and navigate this new normal.
Thank you, Julie. And on behalf of the Penn State Lehigh Valley LaunchBox, I want to thank this amazing group of women that joined us today for sharing your stories, your perspectives, and inspiring, hopefully, everyone that joined us. I also want to thank Dr. Richardson for her continued support for LaunchBox Ladies and her inspiration in forming LaunchBox Ladies. And last, of course, I want to thank Ashley Russo and ASR Media for helping concept this program and execute this program, and for being a sponsor. We truly appreciate her support. So in front of you, I've got a screen showing a couple of upcoming programs that will round out this Navigating the New Normal series. So we've got 2 more programs, one on June 10th, one on June 24th. We hope you can join us for both of those programs as well. And thank you again for participating today. I hope everyone walked away with 1 or 2 things that they learned that they can apply to their own lives. Thank you again. We look forward to seeing you in person sometime in the near future. Have a great day.